Hey, it's Lemon here. I really wanted to do something different, so I decided to create and illustrate my own creepypasta. I really hope you'll all enjoy. I've always seemed to live alone. I don't remember ever staying anywhere long enough to be known. Ever since I was a kid, I found myself alone. Not that I want to be alone in particular, it's just that my parents' job often required us to move around a lot, so I found myself crossing state to state in our small dinged-up car. I would often, as a child with no friends, stare into the lush moving forest and wonder, apart from the dirt road beneath us, what separated us between the forest, a large expanse never been touched by man. What was out there? So, when a newly formed buddy of mine wanted me to join him and visit his folks up north, I found myself on the open road once more. Tommy had explained to me on the long ride to Pennsylvania, a 12-hour car ride give or take, the reason he chose to move so far away was because there was not much to do outside the main part of Philly, and where his parents lived in particular was practically in the middle of nowhere. At that time I'd taken him as over-exaggerating. However, as we drove further and further, and the shops and houses began to spread themselves further and further apart, and the road gradually became smaller and smaller, until the hustling highway had become nothing but a constantly narrowing dirt path, I had found myself sorely mistaken. I could tell now that we're in the final stretch of our journey that Tommy was getting antsy.
Damn it! The road must have broken down between now and my last visit. What the hell happened to this place?
We had been making decent pace, or as decent as to be expected, on a road out in the middle of nowhere. However, for the last couple of miles, the dirt had become loose, big chunks of dirt and rocks littering the road, making driving faster than a whopping 10 miles an hour out of the question. The road had been getting tighter for a while, not just narrower, closer. The trees pressed in on either side, their branches stretching further than they should have, brushing faintly against the sides of the car with a dry, dragging sound. Tommy leaned over the wheel.
This wasn't here before.
You said that already.
No, I mean it. This road was wider. It didn't look like this last time I was here.
The car jolted slightly, not enough to stop us, but enough to hear the sharp grating sound of the exposed tree roots underneath scraping the bottom of the car. The car suddenly dropped. The engine strained as he pressed the accelerator.
Okay, it's just a rut. We'll be fine.
The car lurched forward, then dropped. Hard. A violent jolt, my seatbelt holding on for dear life, the front end of the car jutting down, 2 tires of the car plummeting off. The headlights pointed down to it. It wasn't a pothole. It was too deep. The edges, unnaturally clean and even, like something had split the road open. Tommy let out a shaky breath, hands still locked on the wheel.
That wasn't there before.
I'll go check, I said, even though I wasn't particularly happy to leave the warmth and safety of my seat. I got out of the car, burying my hands in my pockets to escape the cooling night air. I kneeled over, inspecting the clear pothole the front tires had wedged itself into. Yeah, Tommy, it's pretty bad. Maybe drive the car back. I froze. Staring into the long pillars of trees which loomed upwards, I thought I could see a woman. Something I could only describe as being shaped like a person. Her hair black and matted, which draped over her long and spindly neck. Her arms, or what I could only describe as arms, were outstretched, almost in a welcoming fashion. Or it would have been if the arms bent in the right places.
Wait, what? What is it?
Tommy's car door flew open as he rushed to check on me. Tommy turned his flashlight towards the trees I was looking at. The phone illuminated in the place the figure should have been. However, there was only a smaller, paler tree. The branches bent in the same way. But trees don't bend like that, do they? I rubbed my eyes. 12 hours on the road must really be getting to me. I thought I stammered for a moment. I thought I saw a person over there. I tried to keep my voice from shaking. Tommy, after a few sweeps of his flashlight, let out a laugh, the tension of the drive clearly falling off him. Tommy, however, noticing the slight tremble to my stance, sighed.
Look, let's just get back to the car and I'll try and find us a way out of this mess.
Tommy, although rather unsuccessfully, managed to drive out and around the massive pothole, but by that point the car was severely dinged up, its red finish now almost silver and dented. The engine also worryingly began to make abnormal spluttering sounds. We said nothing. We were both lost in thought. A woman just standing in the woods? No, that's ridiculous, I thought. And during that time, after being freshly turned 21, the idea of me getting scared by some imaginary creature I had dreamt up, it was out of the question. Besides, with all these hours back to back on the road, I just must be tired. We drove for what I can only describe as forever, Tommy occasionally having to rev up the engine after it would concerningly stop. I kept trying to check my phone, but the connection could be described spotty at best, to which I suggested we try pull over, in hopes a signal would better reach us. After the 6th time the engine stalled, I squinted at my phone before passing it to Tommy. The map was clearly showing our car moving, even though we had stopped a few minutes ago. He sighed, grumbling to me something about how the signal driving there was flaky at best, and that he was sure it was nothing. Besides, he'd assured me when driving up the road to his parents that it was just one long drive, on the same boring long road, and it would be practically impossible to get lost on that road, with no exits or turn-offs. The car continued to rattle on, Tommy's eyes now glassily blinking, slowly, as we slowly bumped up and down the bare remnants of the dirt road. I looked out the window, admiring the swaying trees I'd seemed to know all my life. It almost seemed, however, that the trees didn't sway with the wind. They seemed to continue swaying even after the wind had stopped. The car had stopped now, which, although worrying, I waited for Tommy to successfully start the car again. 1, then 2, then some number way into the double digits.
Damn it, why wouldn't it start? It was working a minute ago.
Tommy yelled, slamming the horn in frustration. Tommy, after a few minutes of resting his face on the wheel, finally looked up at me. We could always wait here until another car comes along. I'm sure it won't take that long.
You've seen how this road looks. No one's been here for months.
I think it would just be safest if we wait in the car. I feel like something bad's gonna happen. Can we just wait? Please? Tommy wasn't listening. He was tired, and we both knew no one would find us if we stayed.
Hey, I'm just gonna go up the road a bit and look for a better signal. You wait here, okay?
I was a coward. I wanted to yell at him not to go, or that we should wait till morning. I should have forced him to stay. I hunched over our dashboard, watching Tommy in the car headbeams. 1 step, 2 step. I could see Tommy holding his phone up high, waving it even from here. I could see the desperation to get a signal. 3 step, 4 step. I squinted even further. Hey, Tommy, I yelled. I don't think there's any signal. Please, just turn around. I couldn't see him anymore. The car was warm and cozy, my body heat warming the car and steaming up the glass. Not being able to see the sprawling woods all around made my heart beat a little easier. It helped me ignore the guilt of being too afraid to go outside and find Tommy. I heard something move to my left. I wiped a circle into the fog on the window with the side of my hand, squinting through the glass. I felt relief. Tommy? He was standing, just inside the tree line. Moonlight washed over him, turning his skin pale, almost grey for a second. Dude, don't do that, I said, forcing a small laugh. He scared the... He didn't respond. He didn't even move. I pushed the car door open, 1 foot stepping out into the cold dirt. The night air hit me all at once, sharp and damp. Tommy? Nothing. Then, his arm moved. Not like a person moving, it just lifted, like it'd been told to. I froze, half in the car. Tommy? His leg followed next, a step forward, but it was too perfect, too even, like he was copying the idea of walking instead of actually doing it. My stomach twisted. Stop messing around, I said, but my voice didn't feel like mine anymore. It sounded smaller, thinner. His head tilted, just slightly, and for a moment, just a moment, I thought he was finally going to look at me, but he didn't. He was looking past me, or through me. That's when I saw it. Something thin wrapped around his wrist. It moved, and his arm jerked, just slightly, before settling again into the same slow, unnatural motion. There were more of them, around his ankles, his elbows, his neck. Thin branches, twisted and pale, bending into the dark behind him. They pulled and loosened in careful turns like a wooden puppet on a string. Another step, closer now, close enough I could see his face clearly. His mouth was open, Not screaming, not speaking, just open, like he'd forgotten what it was for. "Tommy," I whispered. His eyes didn't move, but something behind him did. Shapes. At first I thought there were more trees, until one of them stepped forward, and another, and another. People, or what used to be, their bodies hung the same way, loose in some places, tight in others, skin stretched, limbs too long, bending where they shouldn't. The further back they stood, the less human they looked, like the forest was slowly correcting them, or becoming them, or they were becoming it. I couldn't tell. They swayed, all of them, the whole forest seemingly moving behind them, a slow, gentle motion, back and forth, back and forth. Tommy's body joined them, the branches tightened, guiding him, teaching him, and suddenly I understood. The trees weren't moving. They never were. I stumbled backwards, my heel catching the car door. Tommy took another step forward. Closer. Too close. I ran as far as I could until at some point the road stopped being a road. The ground turned soft beneath my feet, roots catching my ankles, branches scraping against my arms. I could see in front of me the glow of what appeared to be suburban streetlights. I dived forward, collapsing from exhaustion. I rolled onto my back, staring at the tree line in which I had just came, in which for a minute I'm certain the forest had stared back, its violently shaking trees coming to a perfect halt. A guy passing had seen me running out of the forest, covered in blood and scrapes, and he'd called the cops. The police came. I told them everything. About Tommy, about the car, about the people in the trees. They listened, nodded, wrote things down. Hours later, I'd been notified that they'd found the car. It was parked neatly on the side of the paved road, engine off, keys still inside, no damage, no sign it ever even left the asphalt. They asked me if I'd sure we'd gone off-road at all. I told them about the pothole, the dirt path, the forest. They exchanged a look. The kind you don't notice at first, but once you do, you can't stop seeing it. They said they couldn't see any sign of Tommy. Nothing but a pile of clothes, folded and neatly piled and placed carefully a short distance from the car. I tried to tell them that it wasn't possible, that Tommy would have never done that. They let me go the next morning. Said I was probably exhausted, dehydrated, and like any college kid my age, had a little too much to drink and ran off in a manic episode. One of them suggested I get some rest and stay somewhere populated for a while. I took that advice, moved into the city, somewhere loud, somewhere crowded, somewhere the trees are planted in neat rows, locked into concrete, their roots buried where they can't spread. I don't travel anymore. I don't take long roads. I don't look out the window when I pass anything green, but sometimes, when the wind dies completely, I can see them move, not swaying with the air, not reacting to anything I can feel, just shifting, slowly, like something is adjusting them. And every now and then, I catch one leaning, just slightly, closer to me than it should be. Hey, I hope you all enjoyed that. It was my first time creating something like that. Thank you so much to Armi for voicing Tommy. I was inspired by one of my favorite creators, LavenderTowne. And just thank you so much for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you all in the next one.